the midpoint formula. Alright, so the midpoint formula is going to take a line section, something like this, where you've got an endpoint, and then a line, and then another endpoint. And it's going to break it in half. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the midpoint, or the middle of that line segment, which is right here. Okay, so these little lines right here, they're both the same. They have two lines on either side. That just represents that the those lines on either half, so this little line right here and this little line right here, they are the same length. Okay, so the formula that we need to use to find the midpoint of a line segment is right here. So basically you add your x values, divide by 2, and then you add your y values and you divide by 2, and you make it into an ordered pair. Notice you've got a comma between them, so that's just an ordered pair. Okay, so it does not matter which point is labeled as x sub 1, y sub 1, and which point is labeled as x sub 2, y sub 2. Your answer is going to come out the same regardless of what point you choose. Okay, so looking at this one, find the midpoint between the points -5 and -3 and -2 and -8. So I'm just going to go in and say, hey, this is going to be my x sub 1, y sub 1. This will be my x sub 2, y sub 2. And you could have gone back and said, hey, see, you could have said that this is x sub, oops, this is x sub 2, y sub 2, and this is going to be x sub 1, y sub 1. You could have switched them around like that. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Your answer will come out the same. Okay, so the midpoint formula is adding up those x values and dividing by 2, adding up the y values and dividing by 2. Okay, so x sub 1 is a -5, so -5 plus x sub 2 is a -2. I'm going to put that in parentheses. Divide by 2, comma. X sub 1 is a -3 plus y sub 2 is a -8. I'm going to put that in parentheses. Divide by 2. Okay, so now we've got a plus sign here and a -2. Okay, so a -2 and a plus sign right before that. So that's basically a positive times a negative. That's going to give us a negative. So -5 minus 2 over 2, comma. Same thing over here. It's like a positive times a negative. So -3 minus 8 over 2. Let's come over here. So -5 minus 2, they have the same signs. So it's like adding the numbers, keeping the sign. So 5 plus 2 is 7, so -7, keeping that sign over 2. Comma. Okay, same thing with the 3 and the 8. They both have the same sign. So we're going to add the numbers, the 3 and the 8, to give us 11, but keep the sign. So -11 over 2. Okay, so this point right here is the halfway point between the point -5, -3, and -2, -8. Okay, and here's the prettier version of working everything out. There's our final answer. Let's look at this one. Find the midpoint between the points 0 and 7 and 4 and -9. So same thing, I'm just going to say, hey, this is going to be x sub 1, y sub 1. This is going to be x sub 2, y sub 2. Okay, and I'll plug it into my formula, which is just adding the x values, divide by 2, adding the y values, divide by 2. So x sub 1 is a 0. Okay, plus x sub 2 is a 4, divide by 2, comma. X sub 1 is a 7, plus y sub 2 is a -9. I'm going to put that in parentheses. Okay, so 0 plus 4 is 4 over 2. This is going to be a positive times a negative, so just like the last problem, will be a -9, so 7 minus 9. All right, so the larger number has a negative. Okay, so we're going to keep that. So we're going to keep the negative since the larger number has that sign. And then I'm just going to switch to say 9 minus 7. That gives me 2. Oh, need to write the other part. We'll go ahead and say 4 over 2 is 2. and that was -2 over 2. Okay, well, anything divided by itself is just going to be 1. Keep that negative, so -1. Okay, so this right here is the midpoint between the point 0 and 7 and 4 and -9. And again, here's the prettier version of working everything out.